Hello and welcome to the Rich Salad Show. We are on episode 7. It's crazy. We've done 7 episodes so far. Welcome to the best up and coming movie and TV podcast where we talk about all things in that realm of movies and TVs. We love movies. We're passionate about it. I usually have my buddy David here with me, aka Rich, but it's just me writing solo this week, and we have lots of topics to cover. It is a dense week. Let's get into it. I will touch on a few things. We got Helldivers, a live action Helldivers film is coming, yet another game adaptation. It's crazy how many game adaptations are coming. We're also talking about God of War, Paranormal Activity coming back. I'm a huge Paranormal Activity fan. We got Spider Noir, Nicolas Cage reprising his role kind of as Spider-Man Noir from Into the Spider-Verse. Scarlett Johansson is going to be in the new Batman. That's crazy. So we're excited to get into that. But without further ado, let's get into our first topic, which is this Eternity. So I had the pleasure of seeing Eternity last night. Wow, what can I say? I mean, going into the film, I was super excited because you have Elizabeth Olsen, you have Miles Teller, you have Callum Turner, three fabulous actors coming together within a really interesting premise in the fact that they're in some sort of afterlife plane where Elizabeth Olsen has to choose which suitor she will spend eternity with. And that's a big question. So this film delves on that really beautifully. It's funny going to the theater while, going to see this film. Five Nights at Freddy's opened this weekend. So the theater was packed. And it's funny. It's like, I mean, the age range was pretty much like a bunch of kids, like 13 to like 20 maybe. And every dude had the same exact haircut. Like they had like the broccoli special. I'm telling you, it was really funny, but man, like lots of kids just with the same haircut is pretty neat. Five Nights at Freddy's behind us. Eternity. Going into it, the premise was super fascinating. She's trying to pick who's she's gonna spend eternity with, either a her most recent husband that just passed with her, and then we also have her husband that has passed 67 years prior to when she just passed. So, you have the choosing of that, which is so tough to do, and the film keeps reminding her that this is an impossible decision, and it's really neat how the film explores that idea for her, because it's kind of interesting. I think going into this film I thought it was going to be more about Miles Teller, but really it's totally about Elizabeth Olsen. And Elizabeth Olsen as a performer, she is just phenomenal. I've only seen her work just in the MCU, but I know she's done phenomenal work elsewhere, and she just keeps doing great work. And in this film, it is no exception. There are a few moments where she does feel like she's, I don't know, overacting in a sense, but for the most part, she delivers a just fantastic performance. It almost feels like she's trying to go for an Oscar, which, I could possibly see her getting nominated for this. I wouldn't doubt that. I wouldn't be surprised, but I don't know. There are moments where it's over the just a little bit over the top, and I mean, this film is just super clever in the way it markets itself. I mean, you in this shot specifically, I mean, as our main characters get to this afterlife plane where they have to choose which eternity they want to spend, it's almost as set as like a big convention where like every day they have to choose. They only have a 7-day period to choose which eternity they want to spend, and each eternity is different. Like this, you have man free world, a world free of men. There was other eternities like Studio 54 world, smoker world. Like the tagline was like, cancer can't kill you twice. So it was really clever in how it showed its different realms of eternity. So all in all, I thought this film was really good. I think the performances really put it over the top. The performances themselves really sell the film. Interesting concept being that they are in this afterlife plane and they have to choose which eternity they want to go to. The way they explore that is super interesting, and also like, I think going into every film, I want to feel something. I want to get some sort of emotional reaction. And I really got that out of this film. Now there I do have gripes with it, but I'll get to that in a bit. But the emotional reactions I had to this film, which is the way they touch on death, the way they touch on eternity. And it's like, thinking about those two things, it's very large scale. It's very end game. Thinking about those things while watching this film is really enlightening. And coming out of this film, I mean, even still today, like a day later after seeing it, I still have it running in my head that these thoughts, just treating death in a different way, and this film touches on that really nicely and in a way you wouldn't expect. So my main gripes with this film, what's interesting in this shot right here is they kind of have these like galleries where you're able to experience your past life and all your moments, your memories of your life before you died, and it's super touching in moments. But that's specifically with this shot here. But my main gripes with this film comes down to tone. Yeah, there are some very specific moments where it feels like the tone never really knows what it wants to be. I think overall, I considered this film was going to be romantic, it was going to be comedy, it was going to be drama, and this film tackles those three really well. There is a moment in this film where they have a really deep, a really rough conversation between Miles Teller and Elizabeth Olsen. And as they're talking, Miles Teller says something very, very strong and bad to Elizabeth Olsen. And it's like we feel it as the audience. It's just like, whoa, that was a massive hit. And then, like a minute or two later, you have Callum Turner's character is in that scene as well. And he cracks this joke that seems completely out of left field. And there were moments like that in this film that just took me out of it. And it's not a good feeling when you get taken out of a film because throughout the first half of this film, I was in, I was locked in. But there were these comedic moments that I felt like the writers are like, let's throw a comedic moment here, let's throw something silly here, and it just didn't really work. It's kind of funny, the theater I was in, people around us that I could tell they were of an older age, so lots of these jokes landed for them, which was good. So it seems like the film's comedic side lends to more of the older age, which is really interesting, but I still thought it was pretty funny overall. What's really neat with both Elizabeth Olsen's character and Miles Teller's character, I was curious how we see them in this afterlife at this certain age. Like they're young in the afterlife. But the way the film begins, it doesn't begin in a way you thought. I was very intrigued by how it began and the way their characters carry over from death into the afterlife and how they act. I mean, like I said before, the performances in this film I think are everything. The way Miles Teller acts, the way Elizabeth Olsen acts, they act very older in how they speak and how their mannerisms are. Miles Teller does it beautifully. He's just really fun to watch. Elizabeth Olsen does it beautifully as well. In terms of just their elderliness, if you want to say, that's kind of like a hint. In terms of the tone, it seemed like the film just didn't know what it was in certain moments. Not overall, but just in certain moments. Then there were moments where the film definitely drags. Like it feels like there's like three different endings in this film. Like it is very jarring because it seems like the film's gonna go this way, but then it's like, oh no, it goes this way. It's like, oh no, but it goes this way. And then when it goes the third way, it's like, whoa, we're doing more with this in a different way, in like a more an artistic way. But it just kind of not devolves into chaos, but it just goes down routes that just seems like it was just too much. Yeah, in terms of tone, it was inconsistent in moments. It felt really long with how it's three different endings. It just felt like the film didn't know how it wanted to end, and that was disappointing. But by the end, I'd say it's very satisfying. Overall, I would definitely recommend this film. Eternity was a great time. Like I said before, it made me think about death in a new way. And any film that can enhance or that can make you think something new, can make you give an emotional reaction within that, I think has done its job. So I highly recommend this film. It's an A24 film. You kind of know what you get with A24 films in a way, and this delivers in that sense. You're gonna get something interesting. You're gonna get something philosophical, funny, and the performances are gonna kill it. So highly recommend you guys see Eternity. All right, with that down, we are moving on to something I'm super jazzed about. If you guys don't know, I am a huge boys fan. I think this is probably my favorite show period. I mean, I kind of put my top shows. You got Game of Thrones, The Boys. Those are kind of like my top two right now. But man, there is something so special about this show. And it comes down to the characters. I think any show, if you want to have a successful show, a show that people come back to every year or nowadays every like 2 years, 3 years, because these gaps are stupid. Yeah, if you want a successful show, you want to have great characters, characters that you connect to, characters that you could root for, characters that you could hate. And you have all of that in this show. I mean, the whole band of the boys themselves, Carl Urban, Starlight, Frenchie, Kamiko, Huey. I mean, Mother's Milk. I mean, these characters are so rich. We've gotten to meet each one of these characters in a really wonderful way. And, to spend the time with them over the course of the past five seasons has been super special. And this show has always delivered for me. The action, what's funny? It's like the action in this show has never been like the strongest because it's like the way they do the CG, it's not like the most prettiest, but we don't judge it on its, visual effects. We judge it on the impact of its storytelling, the impact of these characters. So we got The Boys season 5. This trailer, I mean, what's great about this trailer is that it just tees up kind of what we expect. I think, me and David always talk about this, which are the way we consume trailers and the way trailers are put out nowadays. Sometimes you have a trailer that reveals too much. You have 2 minutes of telling kind of the whole structure of what the story is, or you have a teaser that just teases the tone and gives us a sneak peek at what's to come. And this film does the latter. It shows us the tone, which, with The Boys, we kind of always get what the tone's going to be. It's going to be dark, it's going to be brutal, it's going to be bloody, it's going to be fun as heck. And this trailer is no exception. I mean, I think we kind of got what we expected in this trailer. You aren't revealed too much. We just see Homelander beating on someone. I'm very curious who he's beating on in this shot specifically right here. And he's just pounding nonstop. We have just a wonderful moment with Kamiko, who's just a super charmer of this show. She's so much fun. We get Jared Padalecki in this. If you guys don't know, the creator of the show, Eric Kripke, who made Supernatural with Jared Padalecki, Jensen Ackles, was it Misha Collins, and lots of characters from that show were in this. And here we get the famous, the infamous brothers with Jared Padalecki and Jensen Ackles in The Boys season 5. I can't wait to see their involvement in this. It's going to be so much fun. Going into this final season, we've been building up to this for the past 5 seasons. And it seems like at the end of each season, we're going to kind of get some sort of resolve in terms of Butcher versus Homelander. And that's what this whole series has been about. It's crazy going back to season 1 with Huey. And it almost in a way seemed like Huey was going to be the one to kind of stop everything. But no, it's always been Butcher. And Carl Urban has delivered nonstop a phenomenal performance at this character. Like, I believe he's Billy Butcher because he's so much fun to watch. So we have The Boys season 5 coming April 8th of 2026. And it's cool because this trailer debuted at CCXP, which is supposedly like a huge Comic-Con in Brazil. What's really neat is, so I was at Comic-Con in July of this year, of 2025, and they dropped a trailer there. And this trailer was different from that trailer. The trailer we saw at Comic-Con, and it's pretty cool because nothing leaked from that. Like, they're pretty strict at Comic-Con. They want to make things super strict, and they say no one can film. And it's very surprising to see that nothing leaked from that initial teaser trailer. And like that teaser trailer at Comic-Con compared to this, it's great because it doesn't reveal much. It just kind of tees up what you're going to expect. You're going to expect a bloodbath of lots of humor and fun times with these characters because it's just nothing but fun. So that is The Boys season 5 coming soon. I'm super jazzed about it. Again, it's just always a fun ride with these characters. Can't wait to see what happens in the end. Next, we're talking about yet another video game adaptation coming to life. This comes to us from The Hollywood Reporter, which they write the following: Justin Lin to direct Helldivers video game movie exclusive. So, Justin Lin, best known for his work on the Fast and Furious action movies, is set to direct Sony Pictures and PlayStation Productions' adaptation of Helldivers, based on the popular video game franchise from Arrowhead Game Studios. Lin will also produce the feature via his Perfect Storm Entertainment banner, along with Hutch Parker and PlayStation Productions' Assad Quilabash and Carter Swan. Gary Doberman, the scribe behind It and Annabelle horror films, wrote the script. We get Helldivers coming from Justin Lin. So, this blurb specifically. Lin is not a gamer and leaned into that as a strength when pitching his take on the material. Said insiders, he aims to find the humanity in the characters and weave timely themes into the story, while building out a world and mythology. There are plenty of details waiting to be drawn in, something that is compelling to the filmmaker. All right, so we got Helldivers coming. Now, me, I haven't played Helldivers at all. I've heard it's been great. I know it seems like it's one of the fastest growing games. It seems like it's gotten a lot of traction because it was originally, I think, on PlayStation, maybe PC, and then it went to Xbox. And once it went to Xbox, there was a lot of popularity there. I mean, it makes sense. Once we kind of have a game that gains traction and builds hype, I don't know, it's like the more Hollywood, the more these film studios see successful video games, they're like, maybe that could be a movie. And I don't know if that's for good or for ill, but I mean, it's something because we're seeing a streak of wonderful video game adaptations. We talk about it all the time on this podcast with Last of Us. I'm a huge fan of Last of Us. I don't care what anybody says. Seems like everyone, from what I've seen, really likes the show. And it's a beautiful show to look at. It's HBO. It's produced beautifully. I love it. You get the Sonic films. Each film has been fun. Fallout Season 2 is coming this month. Can't wait for that. So we're on a hot streak of wonderful video game adaptations. What's to say with Helldivers? We get Justin Lin on this. So Justin Lin, he is a very, very credited filmmaker. I mean, he's the one that pretty much took Fast and Furious and made it the billion-dollar beast that it became. I mean, he was a part of Tokyo Drift. He was a part of Fast and Furious, which was the fourth one. Fast Five. Fast Five is one of my favorites. It is so much fun. That's when the film franchise really takes a turn, maybe for good or for bad. Then I want to say he did Fast and Furious 6. And then after that, he took a break and then did Fast 9, which Fast 9 was, in my opinion, was the worst. It was not fun. It was just got too chaotic. That was when they really went to space. And that's what the whole joke was about. Like, they'll probably go to space eventually. And they did. Regardless of how those films ended up, he took them to the billion-dollar beast. They're fun, and congratulations to him on doing so. He's also a part of Star Trek Beyond, as in this banner he's standing in front of, which I'm a big fan of the Star Trek films. I want to say it's called the Kelvin timeline because there's a lot of different Star Trek timelines. I'm not a big Trekkie, but those films with Chris Pine, and with Carl Urban, which we were just talking about earlier, who was on The Boys, those films themselves, I really enjoyed. You had J.J. Abrams. The style of them I really liked. Very in that J.J. Abrams style with lens flares and whatnot and cool camera movements and big set pieces. Justin Lin being a part of Star Trek Beyond was fun. So he's had lots of success. And coming to Helldivers, I'm very intrigued. Now, I don't know if I'll play Helldivers. It's a 4-person co-op. You're essentially defending the planet from these like 3 different enemies who want to take over the planet. It's like these androids, these zombie-like creatures, these bugs, because it is in a way based on Starship Troopers. I haven't seen Starship Troopers, so I don't really know. It's neat that the game takes inspiration from that film. So I think this film could be really fun. I think because I know Starship Troopers is comedic in ways, and thinking back to Justin Lin's filmography, with Fast and Furious, it is comedic in ways. So when I think of Justin Lin, I think of big, bold stories with characters that are rooted in emotion and hope, and like he said in this article, saying that he wants to find the humanity in these characters. I think that's super important. In any story, you want to find the humanity, or else how can we relate to them as an audience? So if you have the humanity of these characters, you have the camaraderie, you have the silliness, the good comedy, then you have the epicness of the set pieces they could build with this. Because with this game, I mean, it seems pretty epic at moments. I mean, there's explosions that you can make some really cool compositions out of. cinematographically. That is not a word, but I just coined it. So you could really create some interesting visuals with this film. So I'm super excited for it. Hopefully, another game adaptation that works, and we're here for it. All right, so we are getting into something super exciting. I have waited a long time to hear this news, and I didn't know if it was going to come. We are talking about new Paranormal Activity. Like, are you kidding me? I honestly didn't think we'd get this, but I am so happy. I mean, well, I'll get into it in a bit, but new Paranormal Activity movie in the works with James Wan joining the franchise as a producer. So, James Wan has been a master of the paranormal for years, thanks to The Conjuring, which I love, and Insidious. I'm kind of so on franchises, but never before has he taken on one of the 21st century most important genre properties. That is about to change, as Wan is among those bringing a new Paranormal Activity feature to the screen. With the move coming after the merging of his company Atomic Monster and with that of paranormal producer Jason Blum's Blumhouse, we go down. We'll kind of take a blurb of what James Wan said. So, I've been a huge admirer of Paranormal Activity since the brilliant first movie, with its creeping slow burn and subtle ability to make the unseen terrifying. I'm looking forward to expanding on its legacy and helping shape the next evolution of this story and shaping the next evolution of this scary found footage franchise, said Wan. The original found footage film was made for just $15,000. That's insane. And helped launch Blumhouse after Blum discovered the film and then pumped additional money into the project for a release that became one of the most profitable movies of all time. And then it goes down to say that I want to say it made like 153 million. Oh no. Yeah, they grossed 194 million. So you're talking about come on, man. That's insane. Oh wow. I mean, to on a $15,000 budget, you make 194 million. Come on. That is a beautiful story. Now, Paranormal Activity, like I said, I am super happy about this. I never thought this would happen, at least not this soon. This was one of those films. This is one of those film franchises that instantly connected with me. For the longest time, I was really creeped out by horror movies. I didn't watch them just because I thought I'd kind of be too scared. And, I've talked about it recently on the podcast. Like, I've been overcoming my fear big time with a lot of these films. I saw Weapons in theaters, and I absolutely love that. So, I'm slowly seeing more horror films in theaters. Probably over the course of the past 7-8 years, I've been seeing horror films consistently, just at home. And I've been loving them because I think with horror, you can get really creative for really cheap. And this film is a great example of that. I mean, you've also had the film that came out this year, Good Boy, which focuses on a dog that can see ghosts, and the dog is the protagonist. And you don't need a lot of money to make a film like that. So horror is like the champion of low budget, but you can make buku bucks on it if you tell the story right, if you make it fun, if you make it creepy, if you make it interesting. Like all those that make great stories, horror can do that. And horror seems like always wins in some way. Like everyone seems to like horror. I mean, it always does pretty well at the box office. I know Five Nights at Freddy's opened this weekend, and from what I've heard, it's not a great movie, but opening wise, how much money it's going to make, I think it's going to make a lot of money because I was at the theater, seeing Eternity last night, and it was packed, lots of kids there. So I'm sure it'll make a lot of money. Hopefully it does. The industry needs it. But back to Paranormal Activity, I am just super jazzed. I mean, I think, you get James Wan on this, a film franchise that, can only benefit from his expertise. And, I'm just really excited where they're going to go with this. I think the whole concept of this film has always intrigued me. You have, I mean, especially like in a cinematography kind of way. I mean, it's very easy. They just set a camera down and just let the actors do kind of what they want to do as these it's like a found footage aesthetic. You have cameras, watching certain sections of a house, and each film had a formula. I will say the films do get formulaic. I think that's by design in a way. So I think over time people probably got stale of the formula that the Paranormal Activities gave. But I myself, I loved it because I mean, I kind of describe it as like a Snickers. Like, what you're going to get with the Snickers. Like, what you're going to get with a certain type of candy, but you will go back to it because you like it. I mean, the Snickers doesn't have to outdo itself every time you eat it. And a lot of films work like that. Like, you don't necessarily need a sequel to outdo the first one. Just make it a good film, make it a good experience. And, the less we compare things, the more joy we can have. I mean, comparison is the thief of joy. So, I compare that to the Paranormal Activity films a lot because they're very formulaic in that sense. I love these films for what they are, for what they show. It is just always super interesting because the way the lore goes, you're following these sisters, and throughout the first three, we see their story, and each film bounces around to different eras. It's just super fascinating. So yeah, in terms of how it's shot, like, again, you have a camera set in a fixed position, specifically in, I think it was Paranormal Activity. Was it the third one? But in one of them where, the guy fixes a camera on an oscillating fan. And it is one of the most creepy shots because it's just going, and it's just super slow. And you want to talk about building tension the cheapest way? That's how you do it. I mean, the way you can build tension with just a camera just set in a fixed position, and it's just moving so slowly, but what you're going to get out of these films. You're going to get some sort of jump scare, at least you think you are, and it's just so tense, it's so rich. Again, these films always excite me. This is one of the first franchises that I watched, when I first got into horror back in like 2018. This is one of the first franchises I watched. This has a special place in my heart. These films are great. I have a great time with them. Can't wait to see where they're going to go because we've dealt with these sisters. Again, I am super jazzed about this. Can't wait for it to come out. Let's go. So next, we're talking about something pretty exciting. This little film called Obsession. So this story comes to us from Deadline. Blumhouse boards Curry Barker's romance-themed focus horror flick Obsession. Focus Features has unveiled the first teaser for Obsession, the buzzy horror film from Curry Barker that they swooped on at TIFF, Toronto International Film Festival, if you didn't know, in a deal our sources placed at $15 million. Additionally announcing that Jason Blumhouse has boarded the project. Michael Johnson stars in this film, written and directed by Barker, as a hopeless romantic who, after breaking the mysterious one-wish willow to win his crush's heart, finds himself getting exactly what he asked for, but soon discovers that some desires come at a dark, sinister price. One of the most anticipated horror films of 2026, Obsession premiered in the midnight section of this year's Toronto Film Festival before going on to sold-out screenings at Fantastic Fest and winning Siege's People's Choice Award. The film hits U.S. theaters on May 15, 2026. Okay, Obsession. Yeah, this film came across my YouTube feed, and it just looked interesting. That the thumbnail, you just see this guy in his car, just like that. I don't know, something. I think the colors, like, I'm a big lover of color in the way someone shoots an image. Maybe that's what stood out to me, but I don't know. I think the title Obsession was interesting and the still looked interesting. So this trailer is pretty dang sweet, and it's quick. It's like, I think it's like a minute, and it just tees up exactly what this film is about. Like, me and David on this podcast, we always talk about trailers and how setting the tone is super important, but not giving away too much. And this film is a perfect example of that. We get the feel. I mean, it uses some great sound, some great, really neat, like cool sound effects within this that just make you feel eerie and weird and awkward and creeped out as he's on the phone talking to this person who's in charge of this one wish willow, and apparently he makes a wish that he desires this girl's love, and apparently he gets it, but not in the way he expects it. So just that concept alone, and the way they tee up this trailer is just super fascinating. And yeah, I mean, seeing that it sold out screenings at Fantastic Fest and People's Choice and won a People's Choice Award, it's garnering some hype. And with nowadays in horror, like 2025, in my opinion, is one of the best years of horror. We've had Weapons, Final Destination Bloodlines, Alien Earth, Bring Her Back, with the Philippou brothers who made Talk to Me, both fantastic films. I mean, we've just had we've had Together with Dave Franco and Alison Brie, which I highly recommend you guys see that. It was a great film. Very weird, but very, very cool. It's just been a knockout year for horror. And we're seeing, these little films. I mean, I was talking about Paranormal Activity earlier, and it's like this little film came out of nowhere and just made $193 million over $15,000 budget. I'm sure this film right here, Obsession, budget probably wasn't big, and Jason Blum at Blumhouse swooped in and paid a hefty price on it. It seems like he believes in this film, and the hype that it's garnering, it seems like a lot of people are digging what they're seeing. So I'm very intrigued about this. The concept got me hooked. The teaser trailer, the tone is great. You just get that eerie, like, oh my god, like what has this chick done? What is he gonna get out of this? I think it's gonna be a great time. Hopefully. We got Obsession coming in. I think it is, so it's May 15th of 2026. Excited for it? Let me know what you think. All right, our next topic. Again, I am super jazzed about this. One of my favorite video games of all time, God of War. It's still crazy that we're getting an adaptation. Another video game adaptation is coming out. So we are talking about this. This comes to us from Deadline. We have God of War's Frederick E.O. Toy set to direct, as pre-production and casting are underway on Amazon series with a 2-season order. Heck yeah, man. Prime Video's series adaptation of the popular God of War video game has added another high-profile creative auspice. Emmy-winning director Frederick E.O. Toy of Shogun and The Boys has been tapped to direct the first 2 episodes of the action-adventure series from Sony Pictures Television and Amazon MGM Studios. He joins Ronald D. Moore, the series showrunner, writer, and executive producer. Pre-production is underway in Vancouver, and casting has begun on God of War, which has received a 2-season order. Originally greenlighted by Prime Video in December of 2022, the project kicked into high gear following Moore's arrival as the new showrunner last fall in a creative overhaul. All right, so God of War. Man, if you want to get me excited to talk about God of War, it is such a special game. Getting into this franchise, I mean, I heard lots of buzz about it. Over the course of my life playing video games, God of War was always a mainstay in conversations, the original 3. And then once the 2018 version came out, the conversation was back and the hype was at an all-time high. It took me a while to get to the game, but I eventually got to it, played the first one, was blown away. Actually, no. I did not play the 2018 version first. I played the very first one first because I wanted to understand Kratos a little more. I wanted to really start back to where it began, and I'm glad I did. Now, playing through 1, 2, and 3, it's really neat the gameplay difference the first games have compared to the more recent game, because the more recent game has that more narrative style storytelling gameplay aesthetic to it. While the first 3 games, there is a narrative there for sure, and it's very powerful and profound and insightful, but the gameplay of it, it definitely, compared to the more recent one, it's not as grand, it's not as narrative driven and just impactful in a way. It's just kind of more arcadey. But with those first 3 films and what they show, how Kratos becomes just the rage monster. I mean, those 3 games do a great job at just showing how this character came to be, how rageful he came to be, how, as the God of War, what he did with his power. Essentially, I mean, spoilers if you don't know, killing all the gods. Like, he killed everybody. And, so the first 3 games take place in the Greek mythology. But then what's interesting with these new games, from 2018 on, and there were only 2 games, it was just God of War and then God of War Ragnarok, which came out recently. Those games take place in Norse mythology, with Thor and Odin, but he's still the Greek God of War. And it's kind of unexplained how he transcends this plane. But I just cannot wait to see what they do with this character, because with these recent God of War games, in the first God of War set of games, we deal with Kratos, we deal with his rage, we understand his rage, and he just does a lot of work on these gods. Not good work, but in terms of a narrative, it's not as rich, but it is rich in a different sense. It's a little hard to explain, but when you're talking about the more recent God of War games from 2018 on, with God of War and then God of War Ragnarok, I mean, you're dealing with such a beautiful story between a father and son, where Kratos is just trying to be better, and time again he gets pushed back to how he used to be, and he can't really fight it. But he has his son Atreus with him that helps him, find the humanity within himself and not let the old God of War take over. This show can really showcase a wonderful trajectory of growth within Kratos, because Kratos is clearly the title character of the show, but Atreus is super important as well as his son. And what's really neat is this first game, which I think this first season, so I mean, it's crazy they've ordered 2 seasons. That means they have a lot of faith in this. And for a show of this production wise, because it's going to be a big production, I think to save on costs and to factor in however they do that. 2 seasons is like the more efficient way to go. So that kind of makes sense. But you're gonna get a wild adventure with this. I mean, it's just a father and son. They're growing on a journey together, trying to bury the ashes of someone that they loved, and lots of craziness ensues with the Norse gods, with other people, with these crazy creatures. It's just a wonderful adventure, and I can't wait for everyone to see it because the main story about this is being better as a person after playing the end of the first game. Wow. It is just a beautiful story told by these wonderful creators, just about trying to be a better person. Kratos is trying to be better. He's trying to teach his son to be better because his son is flawed. Like both of these characters are heavily flawed. They're just trying to be better. So again, with the show, as a show like this, a show is as good as its characters. And with these characters, we can get some rich stories within themselves, just trying to be better. A series like this can showcase growth in such a beautiful way. I mean, hopefully we don't see like a 8 episode season. I really hope it's like at least 10. I mean, nowadays we're getting such really short change with these shows with 8 episode seasons at like 30 to 40 minutes an episode. Like, come on, like Lost did it 20 years ago with like 20 episode season. Come on. We'll see. I mean, whatever they go with, I'm here for. I cannot wait to see more God of War. I mean, in this shot, this is from God of War Ragnarok, where he fights off with Thor, and it's definitely not the Thor that you remember from MCU. It's completely different, but it's just epic. You're gonna get some epic battles in this show, some really deep, dense acting moments. I mean, Kratos in his delivery, he doesn't have to say much. But when he says something, it's profound. I think it's gonna be a great time. I'm super jazzed. I'm super curious who they're gonna cast as Kratos. You kind of have to get it perfect. It's gonna be tough. A lot of people are suspecting it's gonna be Triple H because Triple H looks exactly like Kratos. Now I know some people were suspecting Winston Duke could be a Kratos. I could totally see that. He was in Black Panther, he was in Us. He's a big guy with a great beard. And I mean, you do the paint job on him and I can see it. He's definitely got that voice. So let me know how excited you guys are for God of War. I am absolutely ecstatic. This show, I don't know. I mean, you got Ronald D. Moore on this show. You have a fabulous director who has worked on The Boys, which I love The Boys. It was talked about that earlier. He also worked on Fallout as well. This show could be something ridiculously special. And carrying on the torch of the video game adaptations, I think it will do it. So let me know what you guys think about God of War. I'm very curious to hear your thoughts. So, next, we're talking about something I still can't believe is happening. This comes to us from entertainment. We got Nicolas Cage as Spider Man Noir. So, Nicolas Cage's live action Spider Man in Spider Noir isn't Peter Parker. Poster confirms a new variant. Marvel is about to debut a different web-slinging hero in live action. Nicolas Cage, upcoming Spider-Man series Spider Noir is not another version of Peter Parker. New posters for the Prime Video series have confirmed that Cage will actually be starring as the popular variant Ben Reilly. Posters shown in both black and white and in color, because the series will also be in both, which is very interesting. Introduce Cage as Ben, an aging and down on his luck private investigator in 1930s New York. According to the official synopsis, he will be forced to grapple with his past life as the city's one and only superhero. I mean, to look at the poster. My God, this poster's it's perfect. I mean, it is so beautiful with him behind the foggy glass. I'd say with the eyes, everything is. You could see just enough, like he's blurry just enough. Ben Reilly, private investigator. Nicolas Cage is Spider Noir with a beautiful typeface. Prime Video at the bottom and the top right, you get the spider web, and then you see the spider down there lurking. I still can't believe this is happening. I mean, Nicolas Cage is a treasure. He is just a fabulous performer to watch. In a way, you kind of never know what you're going to get with him, but you also do at the same time. He is energetic, he is sporadic, he is fun. He is a great time to see on screen. And playing a Spider-Man nonetheless. I mean, how much greater can that get? Nicolas Cage as a Spider-Man. I mean, so we got him in Into the Spider-Verse, in 2018, but he was the voice. So to see him actually being the character in live action, I mean, we got this shot taken behind the scenes. I mean, that's probably not him, that's probably a stunt double, but I mean, the fact that he is a Spider-Man it's just super sweet. And the fact that this show is going to be screened in both black and white and in color, I'm curious. I don't know which one I'll choose. I think I'm going to go with black and white because I feel like that's the intention of the creators behind this. I think they want us to see black and white, and especially the way we're introduced to the character in Into the Spider-Verse. He's, in black and white primarily. So it totally fits the character. I'm super intrigued, to say the least, about this film. It's interesting because the trailer dropped for this maybe like about 6 months ago, but it was never premiered on Amazon's accounts. It was kind of like leaked somewhere, I think. And I'm still I think I was still looking for the trailer, and it's not available on Amazon's account. So I always took it as like, is this the real trailer or not? And I think it is, but it was still kind of weird to me. But regardless, I think this show could be really fun. I don't think they're gonna go for like the Emmy poll with this. They're not gonna go for any deep, dramatic, I don't know, insightful story. I mean, part of me hopes so. I think it's just gonna be a fun romp, seeing a Spider-Man in the 1930s New York, get that vibe of the just the vintage with these vehicles, with the setting. It's just going to be pretty fun, and I'm super eager to see it. This was kind of like one of the first shots we got, and I think it looks pretty sweet. It almost gives me a Sin City vibe of it. Robert Rodriguez, I love that guy, love his work. That aesthetic is just always really fascinating. I mean, especially in this black and white style, you could really focus on the eyes. And with the Spider-Man character, the eyes are kind of everything, and how they move and how the animated eyes really make a difference. And even with Deadpool, the eyes of a masked superhero can be very interesting and can lead to a lot of really cool character moments. Like, you could feel how they're feeling with the eyes behind them. I mean, this show, I'm very intrigued to see it. Let me know your thoughts. Let's go. We got more Spider-Man coming. I did not see this coming. We have Scarlett Johansson in talks to star opposite side of Robert Pattinson in The Batman Part 2. Okay. So, The Batman Part 2, Scarlett Johansson eyeing new role opposite of Robert Pattinson in this sequel. This comes to us from Deadline. After spending almost a decade defending the MCU as Black Widow, the Bat Signal may be calling Scarlett Johansson, DC Studios' latest chapter in the Batman series. While it is unknown where things stand in the deal-making process, sources tell Deadline that the Oscar-nominated Johansson is in final negotiations with the studio and director Matt Reeves for one of the new roles in The Batman Part 2. If a deal closes, she would join Robert Pattinson, who is set to reprise his role as the Caped Crusader in the upcoming sequel that Reeves is writing and directing. So, Scarlett Johansson in talks, what seems like final negotiations, which essentially means it's pretty much a done deal that she's going to be in the Batman Part 2. Man, I had this caught me off guard, and it got me super excited. She is a fabulous, just wonderfully talented performer, and I mean, it's never a bad thing to add talent. I think, once this news broke, everyone just immediately thought like, okay, which is she going to be a Catwoman? Is she going to be a Batwoman? Is she going to be some sort of Bat character that we know? It's very possible that she could be none of them. She could be a completely new character. Regardless, I mean, going back to the Batman, when I first saw that film, it was special, man. It was absolutely special. Seeing it in a theater with that rich sound, rich picture. I mean, seeing the Batmobile for the first time rev up, that like levitated me off the freaking chair. I was like, this is glorious. Like, to see a Batman in the real world, seeing a grounded Batman, a Batman actually doing detective work, seeing Robert Pattinson really take charge in this role and really making it his own. I mean, coming into it, people had lots of doubts. Like, the guy who was in Twilight, how can he be the Batman? How can Twilight Boy be Batman? And he is our Batman for the Matt Reeves films. I mean, it's pretty cool because, I mean, soon we're going to get another Batman in the DCU. Like, I feel like for some people it could get kind of confusing because we have, DC has described their Elseworlds stories, and the Batman is an Elseworld story, while we're going to have the DCU Batman. So we're going to have two different Batmans running at the same time, but they're not in the same world. It could get kind of confusing, but for the most part, it's not. For the Batman Part 2, it's unfortunate the delay it's gotten, but regardless, it's going to come in 2027. Scarlett Johansson coming into this film. It's never a shame to add talent. Which role can she play? I was thinking maybe she could play like Harley Quinn, but not Harley Quinn as, full on Harley Quinn, as she could be Harleen Quinzel, the Doctor. I was thinking she could possibly be that for a bit. I don't know, because we've already seen Joker. You would think once you've seen Joker, Harley Quinn kind of maybe has already been around. I don't know. I mean, who knows if this world will even get into Harley Quinn, because the Matt Reeves verse is very grounded in his storytelling, and with the way they did the Riddler. Like, that was the most grounded version of the Riddler you could do. He wasn't super over the top, wasn't like his outfits didn't match any of the previous films or previous iterations of the character. It was very of its own, very realistic in a sense. So, I mean, these films tackle a more grounded role to Batman's rogues gallery. There's speculation that Mr. Freeze could be the next villain, and can they tackle that in a more grounded zone? Can they make it less fantastical? And I think there is a way you could do it in how they explain the science behind him if they do so. And like if they do Mr. Freeze, like Scarlett Johansson could play Nora Freeze, which if you guys don't know, like she was a huge catalyst to the Mr. Freeze character. So I mean, that's a very big possibility there. So I mean, let me know your guys' speculation who Scarlett could play in this film. I mean, like I said, I mean this story shocked me. And what's interesting with it seems like Zoe Kravitz's Catwoman isn't returning for part two, which makes sense because the way part one ended, she goes off to Bloodhaven and she is in a different city. So it seems like her story didn't end in part one, but she's off doing her own thing, and the story clearly established that. So it doesn't surprise me that Zoe Kravitz isn't in part two. Maybe Scarlett Johansson becomes of that stature of what Zoe Kravitz was in part one, and helps Batman in some sort of way. I don't know if she could be a love interest. I mean, there's a possibility there. Who knows? Whether they do that or not. Hopefully it works out. Hopefully the story's good. Matt Reeves, for me, hasn't disappointed me. He's made a lot of great films. I'm super jazzed about this. The Batman was one of my favorite films of 2022. I think it's one of my favorite films, period. Might be my favorite Batman film. It is just so much fun. Well, think back to the Nolan films. And those Nolan films are just, they're so special. So the Batman Part 2 coming with Scarlett Johansson. Who do you think she can play? Let me know. All right, guys, with that down, that is the end of this episode of the Rich Salad Show. A solo dolo show for me today. Let me know what you think. Let me know if I sucked. Let me let me know how I did. I'm very curious. I'm just chugging along, trying to make these stories, make them interesting. Hopefully, show my passion for these stories. Lots of topics today that I love regarding things that I love: The Boys, Paranormal Activity, God of War, The Batman Part 2. I mean, we have countless beautiful things coming out soon, and I cannot wait for all of them. So guys, let me know what you thought on this episode. Give me feedback. I'd appreciate it. And we will see you next week.